Hello and welcome to this week's GG Weekend Watch, kindly sponsored by SBK, with a depleted field today. Such is the nature of British racing at the minute that we've decided to echo that in this week's podcast, because we just have Andrew Mount as the tipster for the day, because Daryl Carter is unfortunately off this week. So you just have Andrew and myself to guide you through this weekend's racing. And again, yet another cracking weekend of racing. Grade ones on the card from Aintree and at Sandown as well. So plenty of racing for us to get our teeth stuck into, Andrew. So we won't be bored, at least anyway. And we're going to kickstart at Aintree. Obviously, there's been a bit of a difference in the ground from what we were expecting earlier on in the week. It is now soft. They've had bucket loads of rain yesterday on Wednesday as we record on Thursday here. So whether or not that's going to change things, it remains to be seen. But we're going to begin in the 130. This is a listed fillies juvenile hurdle for 3-year-old fillies, funnily enough, over 2 mile, 1 furlongs, which looks a pretty open contest, but with one clear favourite at the time of recording. That is White Pepper, who represents the Gavin Cromwell yard, with these Irish raiders coming over to the UK more and more frequently this season, it seems. So, Andrew, is this Cromwell filly the one to beat here?
Yeah, well, first of all, hello, Kate. Hello, viewers. And Daryl's obviously trained by Nicky Henderson because he's ducked a challenge and decided there were too many runners. He didn't want to get involved. But that's another story. So, yeah, I mean, Gavin Cromwell does incredibly well with his runners in Britain. And you can back them blind over the years and make a profit of over £63 to a £1 level stake. He's running at about 21% strike rate. And given how many he has at, in graded races and big handicaps at the Cheltenham Festival, that's pretty impressive. He's a bit like Emmett Mullins in that respect. I think White Pepper was about 3-1 when the betting opened up. Into twos now, as you said. Very impressive at Galway last time out, and no surprise, if he went and won this. But at the prices, I'm going to surprise you here and go with a couple of funny ones.
Yes.
Well, first of all, best of luck to Adosh, which your significant other rides as well. I completed the track the last twice, so it was
yeah,
hot in mouth for her supporters and for you, no doubt. So,
yes.
But there's a horse here who ran at a few who ran at Fakenham last time, and Malakana won that race for Ian Williams, but I thought was flattered because she raced wide. There was a real swamp on the inside rail in play at Fakenham that day, and it was very, very difficult to win round the inside. Now, there were 2 horses who took the inside route in that contest, one by Malakana, that run here, and they're both ridiculous prices because they were beaten out of sight. They are Kalma for Alan King. As I said that, I think this one's sort of 33s into 28s. And the other one is Tiki Fire for Neil King. Now, you watched the replay of that race. Kalma looked like she was going to get involved around the end. She was in a close fourth, going well. The next thing you know, she's stopped and she's been beaten 50 lengths. I think the favourite took the inside route of one of the more fancied horses, was pulled up, although it did also burst a blood vessel. And Tiki Fire was, again, virtually tailed off in 7th place. So I would forgive both of those. And rather than side with the favourite 2-1, my free 5 that you're giving me, I'm going £1 each way Kalma, £1 each way Tiki Fire, and £1 for a bar of chocolate.
Which one will come out on top, though? Which one will be delivered? Yeah, really interesting. Really big prices for those as well. The pair of them, the outsiders of the lot. I mean, 80-1 for Tiki Fire and 28-1 or 33s in some places for Kalma, which is really interesting considering that form line from Fakenham. So yeah, you're coming in with a big swing there anyway, at least Mr. Mount, to start off this podcast in our first race. So yeah, 2 big prices to go to war with to take on White Pepper then at the head of the market. So hopefully this will continue for the rest of the day. We will move on to the 205 then at Aintree. This is our first graded action of the day in the form of the grade 2 Many Clouds Chase for 4-year-olds and over 3 mile 1. Where we have some fascinating runners, of course, in this year's renewal, including probably the most talked about national hunt horse in the world, arguably, in Tigerol, our dual Grand National winner, back at Aintree again. But it's Protektorat who currently heads the market. And for me, I think he'll be very hard to beat here, following his cracking run off of top weight to finish 3/4 of a length second in the Paddy Power Gold Cup. And fair play to Dan Skelton for running him in that race off of top weight. It's something that we don't really see often nowadays, but I'm hoping is going to become more and more popular with trainers. So it's a huge ride for Bridget Andrews, but very much deserved. And conditions should really suit him still here. But Andrew, how do you assess this race?
Yeah, this is tricky. I mean, it's a fantastic race for a start. I wouldn't be surprised if Protektorat won, but there is that little doubt about the trip, I guess, isn't there? And the last time he went over a trip approaching 3 miles was at Kelso, when he was beaten at odds of 2-1 on last year. So that's a little bit of a worry. I mean, Native River, what a fantastic horse.
Yeah.
And I mean, again, a bit like, you know me and veterans handicap chases, I like backing 10-year-olds, but I still smiled when the 12-year-old Black Line rallied and beat ASO yesterday.
Yeah.
That was a fantastic race at Haydog. And I'd love to see Native River getting into a good rhythm and putting them to the sword from the front. But I mean, at the prices, I'm going to go elsewhere. And there were two that interested me. Imperial Aura, which really disappointing that he fell in the Betfair Chase last time out. On his first run following a wind operation, he was my pick that day. It was too far out to say what would have happened, and I'll give him another chance here. And Simply the Bet's another one who ran in the Paddy Power Gold Cup, finishing 6th, I think, for the 2nd year running. That was his debut for Paul Nicholls. Very, very weak in the betting, and the way he rallied that day, you'd think coming up, stepping up to 3 miles, one could suit. And I think in a lot of interviews over the summer, Paul Nicholls was talking about he's going to be a 3 mile plus horse. And if you are looking for, the next Clan Deise Aba, the horse to sort of come from left field to be a King George and Gold Cup contender that we haven't really thought about so far, Simply the Bets might be the one. So yeah, I'll go with Imperial Aura. But yeah, Simply the Bets was another one that interested me as well.
Yes, so you're taking on Protektorat, and as you say, a lovely mention there for Native River as well. You have to mention him. You have to talk about him in this race. It's obligatory. Yeah, it is completely, and especially now that the rain has come down for him as well. Then up at Aintree, whether or not it's going to be quite enough, but still, it's still going to be fantastic to see him. But yeah, in the hope that Imperial Aura will complete this time, I still think this horse has a world of unearthed talent still to bring to the fore. And that second start after the wind operation, things just haven't worked out for him. But hopefully that run of bad luck, because in the main he's a very solid jumper, but hopefully
I just think there's so many sort of little chances in this race that steer away from the front of the market with a horse stepping up and trip at 7-4 and an 11-year-old at 11-4. It might be worth just being a little bit more imaginative and creative with the punting.
Yeah, definitely so. So Imperial Aura, but also keeping an eye on Simply the Bets there as well to run a big race. Very interesting take on the many clouds. So we'll move on to the 240. We're now over the national fences. This is in the Grade 3 Beecher Chase handicap chase for 6-year-olds and over 3 mile 2 furlongs, which is a suitably wide open contest where Snow Leopardess currently heads the betting. She's just the most wonderful horse. She's a 9-year-old now. She's even had a foal in her lifetime already, but she's just a wonderful jumper. So for all she's never actually run over the national fences before, you'd have to have every confidence she should take to the big ones here. But I've actually got my first proper bet of the day in this race.
Good.
Oh goodness, we'll see. And at least I'm taking your imaginative approach here of going for a bigger price horse anyway. And it's actually going to be DIDERO VALLIS, who's around a 22-1 shot for this race, which just looks too big for me, considering his credentials here, because he's an 8-year-old now, which is a positive for this race. He's running off of an ideal mark of 137, which sees him carrying a nice racing weight of 10 stone, one with Hugh Nugent taking £5 off of his back as well. This is his second start of the season, another positive for this race, because the last 4 winners of this race had their second start of the season coming in this race. And he ran well last time out to finish 6th in the Grade 3 handicap chase over just shy of 3 miles at Ascot. So stamina is assured from his second in the 3 mile 2 Borders handicap chase on his final start of last season. And probably most importantly, he's had a couple of cycles. Pardon?
Course experience.
Exactly. Twice. And he's got around on both occasions. So
just look at it.
And I say he'll appreciate the trip. And for me, he has all factors in his favour. So yeah, DIDERO VALLIS for me in this. And I'm happy you said about the course form anyway, or that run over the national fences anyway. So yes, how do you assess this race though, Andrew?
Yeah, it's a very interesting point made about DIDERO VALLIS, because he's had 2 runs here in the Grand Theft, and he was 5-1 favourite last year, 7-1 the year before. So now you're getting what I can see 28-1. And if you say that 2 mile 5 trip of the Grand Sefton was too short, and now he's running over the trip he needs with Venetia in fantastic form, yeah, that's a great shout.
Oh, thank you. Oh, phew.
Yeah, no, but it's. I mean, I had a short list of probably sort of 2.5 that I was interested in. One of them is Check It Out for Nigel Tristan Davis, who's been in really good form of late. He was second to Larry at Ascot last time out, despite jumping out to his left at a lot of the fences. And you look at his form, he seems to need soft ground. He needs a left-handed track. He's only had it on a couple of occasions, finishing first and second. And although his wins tend to come in smaller fields, we've seen horses who've seen best in small fields turn up at Aintree over the national fences, get into a rhythm from the front, and just sort of, stay there. So I thought Check It Out could go well. And the other one was VILLE BEN. He was a horse I fancied at a big price for the Charlie Hall Chase earlier this season, because of his good record left-handed, particularly at Wetherby. And you look at that run again, Wetherby at the Charlie Hall meeting, hurdles or fences, you didn't want to be anywhere near the inside. It was a tough race for him. He's tried to make the running, and he's finished well beaten in the end. But again, he's been supported. I think it was 33s into 18s with one firm. I thought, again, he's another one who's likely to be on the front end, staying out of trouble, hopefully, and avoiding, fallers and the carnage you do get sometimes over the national fences over at Aintree. So, tentative shortlist of 2, VILLE BEN and Check It Out. But, I'm now thinking I want to back DIDERO VALLIS after your case.
Sold.
We should also mention the previous experience in this race has been so important as well, of course, with Walk in the Mill, Leon Rouge. Lots of horses seem to sort of come back. Even if they've disappointed the year before, just the fact that running the race seems to help. So tricky, and getting through the place spot will be hard enough, let alone finding the winner.
Exactly. Play spot mention. There you go. There's one for your bingo card there if you're watching this podcast. That's the first mention of the day for it. But yeah, I do think that course form is paramount in this race, as you say, with previous winners. We've seen of it coming back time and time again as well. So, but really nice mention there for your couple anyway. Check It Out. And just to reiterate the second one, because I've lost him, VILLE BEN, to hopefully stay out of trouble as well. So we'll move on to our last scheduled race and the last race on the card at Aintree. This is the 3:15. This is a handicap hurdle for 4-year-olds and over 2 mile 4. Wide open contest. I'm not even going to try. Andrew, please solve it.
Well, that was my approach. I thought I'll leave this one. You
don't get a choice now.
I thought I'd leave this one to Daryl, but found out 2 minutes before the off that Nicky Henderson had scratched him, was going to give him a racecourse gallop at Wincanton instead. So
I would pay to see that, Daryl, as doing a racecourse gallop.
Especially if he has to school over fences. But Pounding Poets was the early mover, 9s into 6s when the betting first opened, and finished second to Mackleduff here last time out. When favourite, he's probably going to run another solid race. But there was a couple of interesting ones at bigger prices. Kateson, who has some good form at this venue, and made her. I keep wanting to say her because it is
a great name. It is a great name, but he unfortunately.
Now. He made his debut for Alistair Ralph last time after leaving Tom Lacey's care. He went over fences. Bit of money around for him that day, but he didn't really take to it, didn't jump particularly well. So coming back over hurdles to the scene of his latest success, I thought was interesting for Kateson, around about 12 to 1. And at a bigger price, Highway 102 for the Chris Gordon yards. I didn't think taking the inside route at Ascot was ideal for him last time out. And I thought Daryl Jacob was a good booking for him, and he might be able to get a tune out of him 25 to 1. But I'll go Kateson, but it's very, very tentative. It wasn't a race that I spent a lot of time on, so I don't want to sort of be pushing people to part with their hard-earned cash on a few minutes research.
Yeah, no, to be fair, like you say, you've given a nice direction, but it's tricky enough at the best of times to have an opinion in this race, especially when, as you say, you've been the sole representative for the race with 2 minutes notice as well. But Highway 102 to hopefully get back to winning ways again from what he promised earlier on in his career to be such an exciting horse, and Kateson to go well back over this course and distance again. And I say cracking name. So Andrew, anything else from Aintree for you?
Bear with me a sec. There was one, I believe. One of the earlier races
They're very early races.
Yeah, because they've moved the mare's listed chase from Carlisle, which was abandoned last Sunday. So everything's pushed forward. I think it's an 11:15 start, isn't it? So set your alarm clock. But I did like that mare's chase because the 4 runners, one of them who was, I haven't seen any prices for Saturday, but in the original betting was 5-2 second favourite. I wanted to oppose. That was Annie Mac for John Joe Neal. I'm a big fan of Annie Mac, but she tends to need at least 1 run, sometimes 2 at the start of the season. You look at a record on the first 2 starts each term, it's 1 win from 6 starts. Even if you go back to her point form, she was, she was beaten first and second time out. But 3rd start onwards, she's got a fantastic record. I think it's something like 4 wins from 7 starts and placed efforts at the Cheltenham Festival. So Annie Mac, take her out of the equation, and you've got a horse who's probably best right-handed. That's the Venetia Williams runner. So you're left with the favourite Ellie May and Zambella, and I think they were sort of 2-1 on Ellie May, 8-1 Zambella when we were looking at this race being run at Carlisle. Zambella needed that comeback run over hurdles at Wetherby, race around the inside, not the place to be. I thought she was going to run much better here, and she was the value in the race. I'd probably want to back her to win and have a better without the favourite as well as a saver or in a straight forecast to finish second to Ellie May. But take on Annie Mac in that race, the 12:20.
Amazing. And then, as you say, put in potentially an exacta there for Zambella to beat Ellie May. And Ellie May, she's such a cool mare, but she's not an overly big mare. I met her during Cheltenham Festival week, and she wasn't overly big, but they were making the point. She's a very stuffy mare, and when she has won earlier on in the season, it's basically been it's just been her ability that's carried her through. They said she's a pretty difficult horse to get fit. She is just naturally a barrelly type. So that's where I just have a slight concern.
Or forget about the saver without the favourite. Just back Zambella then.
Oh, just back Zambella. Yeah. I still wanted to see Ellie May win. I thought if they were going to take her over here and she was ready for Carlisle, it might have just given her the extra time. But yeah, just something to bear in mind anyway from what they said. But Zambella definitely representing the value in that race. Anything else for Aintree, or shall we move on to Sandown?
Oh, that's it. Yeah.
Perfect. Yeah, right. We'll head off to Sandown then. And our first Grade 1 contest of the day as well, which is the Grade 1 Henry VIII Novices Chase for 4-year-olds and over just shy of 2 miles. Always a fascinating contest. The super exciting 3rd time Lucki bidding to make it back-to-back wins in this race for the Skelton team after they won it last year with All Mankind, of course. So, Andrew, do the Skelton team win this race again in 2021?
Very possibly, very probably. I had a good look at the stats for this race. I thought, 5-year-olds do really well. There aren't any.
Nailed it.
That was disappointing straight up. I was already with a few lines as well to grab Daryl's selection, Edwardstone, the horse he's in love with. But then when I looked at it in more detail, I thought, well, actually, Alan King, has done pretty well in this race. And the last time he had a runner in it was in 2017 when Fusel Raffles won it 11-1. He also won it with Araldor in 2008. So he'd actually make a profit backing his 8 runners over certainly this century. Edwardstone, again, he tends to come from off the pace, which isn't always ideal at Sandown, although in this race, again, we've had a few winners who've come from the back. So if you do like Daryl's Edwardstone, again, double check his column on the day of the racing to see if he does side with that one, but I know it's a horse he likes. I was impressed with Il Ridotto at Newbury last time out. Again, Newbury generally pays to be on the front end over fences, as we saw in the big race last week, the Ladbrokes Trophy handicap chase. Il Ridotto came from a lot further back when winning in handicap company on the final race of the card. Horses who ran in handicaps are 0 from 13 this century when bidding to win this race, but the expected wins was like 2/3 of a horse because they were mostly big prices. So I wouldn't get too carried away by that. I thought Il Ridotto had a squeak, and that was it. I thought probably 3rd time Lucki win, maybe beating Edwardstone into second. I couldn't really find a big price angle into the race or a bet I wanted to have, so I'll just make 3rd time Lucki my pick then for that reason.
Yeah, I think that's probably a sensible way to play this race with just the 7 runners. And as you say, it's fascinating with Il Ridotto that Paul Nicholls is turning around so quickly. And I just love almost this compensation from trainers at the minute to not follow the pattern that most trainers are following at the minute and just thinking, no, okay, we're going to run our best horses, our graded horses off of top weight in a handicap. e.g. Protektorat, or Paul Nicholls saying, nope, he ran a blinder the other day, he's fine, he's a racehorse, he's meant to run, we'll run him next weekend then as well.
Yeah, interesting. The two trainers you mentioned, obviously, Dan Skelton used to be assistant to Paul Nicholls, so clearly cut from the same cloth.
Yeah, exactly. And long may it continue with that attitude. I think it's fantastic. But yeah, third time lucky does look a pretty safe bet. And we're already, even though our non-runner of Daryl Carter obviously isn't here to give his mention, but we're imagining it probably like Edwardstone. And if he does turn up in his column and sides against him, well, that'll be a surprise to all of us. But that's what we're expecting at the minute. Give him a token selection. So we'll move on to our next grade one over the same course and distance as well. And this time it is the turn of the grade one Tingle Creek for 4-year-olds and over. Again, as I say, over just shy of 2 miles, which is one of the biggest 2-mile chases of the entire season. Always a cracking race. We do only have the 5 runners declared here, with 2 of them being Irish Raiders and 2 of them being coming from the Paul Nicholls team. But at least we do have the 5 horses we really probably wanted turning up for this race. And Chacun looks like he's take all the beating if he turns up in his invincible best form. But of course, he does have the question to have to answer of travelling over to the UK again. But I really don't think that'll hinder him. And I think he just had evidence excuses for me in the champion chase, because it was just a race that didn't work out into his favour. He was probably ridden a bit too far off the pace. It was sort of a muddling gallop. They then sprinted. He was caught out by that. I don't think he really took to the track. I just thought it was a bit of a shock to his system more so than anything else. And I don't think it's a case of travelling over to the UK, because just again to mention, I did obviously work with him for that week during the festival, and he is the most laid back horse I think I've ever come across in my life, an absolute darling. So I don't think it's a case of travelling by any means. I just think it was a shock to his system. And of course, we saw him back to his brilliant best at Punchestown, overturning Nube Negra. So I am going to be siding with him. I think all conditions hopefully will play to optimal effect for him. So yeah, unoriginal from me, but Chacun to take all the beating, Andrew. How about you?
Yeah, I mean, you're sort of looking for chinks in the army, thinking, well, the only time he's travelled to Britain, he got beat, but then hang on a minute, he only just got beat in a championship event at the Cheltenham Festival. Then you think, well, he's been beaten first time out once before. Oh, who beat him? Oh, our Plutard. Yeah, he's quite good. So I mean, only 3 horses have beat him. Our Plutard, Put the Cattle On, and because Nube Negra, who reopposes here. Now, the problem with Nube Negra is that he goes extremely well when fresh, and Dan Skelton's often said that he's blessed. He doesn't just say good when fresh; he says he's brilliant or great when fresh. He won first time out this term. When I think they saw that Cheltenham race was going to sort of cut up and that he was going to get the ground in his favour. Will this, and because last season they kept him fresh, didn't they, for the champion chase? He didn't, run over the winter, kept him fresh, looking for that better ground. Is this going to come too soon, 20 days after the Cheltenham race? I know he won by 6 lengths in the end, but it's still a race. It's still going to have taken something out of him, and now you're trying to ask him to come off that effort and have a tough race in Grade 1 company. So Nube Negra I could leave alone at the prices, given that doubt about him being best when fresh. Greality hasn't sort of gone on as expected. That was so disappointing at Exeter that you're thinking, well, maybe you look at the price, you're thinking 9-2 Greality on the back of that effort. I'd much rather back Chacun at 11-8. I think that 11-8 could be value compared to Greality, which probably should be somewhere between 6-1 and 8-1. Captain Guinness, not without hope either. And Hitman was one I wouldn't rule out at a price, because we've seen time and time again novices horses, second season chasers who rock up in that Haldon Gold Cup at Exeter. Takes a race or two sometimes to get used to the jumping fences at a quicker pace against more experienced, genuine sort of graded rivals. And we've seen a few horses disappoint at short odds in that race over the years, often trained by Paul Nicholls, and then bounce back often at in this race. So I thought Chacun had an excellent chance. I mean, again, a bit like our Plutard when we were trying to pick holes in him and determine some value the other week. He always 0 from 3 first time out, but they've all been over the wrong trip or under the wrong conditions, and now they're putting him on a plane or a ferry and coming over to Britain for a Grade 1 contest, and he ain't going to be undercooked, is he? If they're doing that. So Chacun probably. Hitman maybe without the favourite, or token each way if you want to have something at a bigger price, and 11-8's not your thing.
Yeah, exactly. Like I say, if you're looking for a bigger price, then Hitman is the outsider currently at around 12 to 1 as well. Then with Hitman, that's the second time in a row now where I haven't been convinced about his finishing effort, about the head carriage that came off at Exeter last time out. As you say, maybe it was just a steep learning curve then for him, and this trip might suit him better. But I just haven't been overly convinced about his sort of his finishing effort. And as you say, Grenadine, the price that he probably is, I'd say it's. I don't think whatever he did in the Holden Gold Cup, people would have cribbed him too much from, because everyone was saying, well, he's carrying all that weight and he's having to give that away. This is just a prep run. So I don't even think, him finishing 17 lengths behind the third horse, people were still going to look too harshly upon that. But probably you probably should. So as you say, when he's that price for a grade 1 next time out, you probably should be cribbing that to an extent. So yeah, I agree there. But yeah, Chacun to take all the beating, hopefully. There for Willie Mullins, another Irish raider coming over to take our prizes. The 3 o'clock then at Sandown. This is from the 2 milers to the proper stayers, because we have the London National Handicap Chase up next, which is run over 3 miles, 4.5 furlongs. So stamina to the fore and then some here. So Andrew, how do you assess this race?
Yeah, well, the last 2 races at Sandown, this and the 335, are the 2 that I've spent most time on, and really went down the rabbit hole with these. I mean, Highland Hunter, the top weight here, 7-1. He's one of many horses who I thought needs soft, genuinely soft or heavy going. They're calling it good to soft, good in places at Sandown with showers forecast. I don't think it's going to be deep enough for Highland Hunter. And 5 of his 6 best Racing Post ratings have come in January to March. Both wins for Paul Nicholls have come in February. So I thought he was going to need this. The ground's too quick. And he's certainly a horse I want to have on my side this season, but maybe, in the sort of depths of, winter, when we get proper deep jumping ground. Deise Aba put in a good comeback when 25-1 at Aintree, finishing second by a neck. He's 2 from 2 here. This looks to have been the plan. Given the price he went off at, perhaps he ran a bit better than they expected at Aintree on good ground. He tends to do his winning on a softer surface, but that comeback run proved that conditions are not going to be a problem. So that 100% Sandown record could be maintained here. So I've got him on the short list. Larry, we mentioned earlier, he won at Ascot last time out. Possibly flattered by coming from off the pace. There was a pace collapse that day. I think something like 5 of the first 6 finishes came from well back. And his hold-up style's a worry. This race, 3 of the last 6 winners made all. 2 of the others were in the van throughout. So I just worry about the running style, that he's going to get too far back. The Mighty Don, just 1 win in 3 years, and he jumps poorly. If he comes here with his A game, he could run in place, but he's more likely to clout 1 or 2, drop back, come again, finish 4th, beating 41 lengths. That's quite specific, I know. Christmas in April. Christmas in April's got the prominent running style that's generally suited to this course and distance. I thought he could go well. Red Infantry is a horse I napped when he won in a small field. I think it was Doncaster last year. He's a real small field merchant. If you look at his form in fields of 9 or fewer runners, he generally runs well, particularly when they ride in prominently. He's had 17 goes in fields of 10 or more. He's lost all 17. There's 10 runners at the moment. He desperately needs a couple of non-runners. Maybe he'll get them because of the ground being faster than some of these. Like Strictly a Dancer, he always seems to run when we're doing this video. And
yes, he does. Yeah.
Napped him at Cheltenham. Didn't bother when he won last time out because he was short at Haydock, and he's made it 3 from 3 since his comeback run at Chepstow. No reason why he can't go well again if the ground's to his liking, i.e. goodish. Salty Boy, I thought would be thereabouts. He was ever so consistent, but frustrating until getting his head in front last time. But he's the kind of horse you don't really want to be backing pre-race. You want to be backing him in running at twice his SP, because he always hits a flat spot, races prominently, drops away and comes again. So don't be laying 1,000 if he looks like he's going backwards 3 out. Assistant Spirit, I thought needs it soft or heavy. Eclair de Guy as well, soft or heavy. So that's the entire field. So I say very long short. It's Deise Aba, Christmas in April, Red Infantry if there's non-runners, Strictly a Dancer, and Salty Boy. I think Deise Aba, given that 100% Sandown record, is probably the most sensible one of that quintet.
Oh, take a bow, Mr. Mount. That was comprehensive. Really impressive there, just to rattle off all of those runners. That was really quite impressive.
I started in reverse order today, so then I realised about sort of an hour 10 into my 3 hour study time, because that's all we get from when the decks come out to when we record, if viewers weren't aware of that. So you suddenly realise, I haven't sort of done this very well. I've just spent far too long in 2 races. But,
it's all right. It's come to the fore now, and this is and credit where credit is due. That definitely so with this race. I've only got prices on 2 horses for this race to actually assess exactly where the market is at the minute. But Deise Aba just about to come on top, but as you say, favourable benches for plenty of those anyway, but with certain caveats to their chances as well. But really likeable race that. And then our final scheduled race is the final race on Sandown's card. This is a 3:35. This is a listed 0 to 150 handicap hurdle for 4-year odds and over 2 miles, with plenty of likeable types in here again, including last season's Tolworth winner in Metier, who's in here as well as plenty of other course and distance winners. So it's another easy one for you to solve, Andrew. So please do exactly that.
Yeah, it's a cracking one, and I'm going to. I want you to correct me on my pronunciation as well with Thibault.
Thibault.
Yeah, he was one that I tipped up at Haydock the other week.
Yeah, you did. You ran a blinder.
That's right. He finished second, quite well beaten in the end, but the non-runners didn't help, and they perhaps didn't go hard enough for him. So he's a horse who needs a big field, strong pace. Needed his first couple of runs back at Fontwell this season. Ran with credit both times. I think he's going to be suited by this, and again, each way, I think he's around about 12 to 1, maybe 14s. I thought he was the one that I'm going to put up as my selection, but there's others I'm interested in as well, notably Benson, who's a horse Daryl and I both liked before his comeback run at Cheltenham. He'd had wind up, he ran that 2 mile 5 race, and we sort of weren't 100% sure whether he was going to stay the trip. They went steady, as it's Gal Road, of course, who sort of got an easy lead that day. He raced keenly, and he's now coming, and it was a smallish field with a steady pace. He's now coming back to 2 miles off a strong gallop. So I thought he would have had a place chance in the Supreme Novices Hurdle last year if he'd gone there, but we didn't see him after that 4th of 17 at Ascot in December. So again, that run was his first for the best part of a year last time, probably would have been needed. He should get a good pace here. You've got Navajo Pass, who tends to go from the front. You've got 1 or 2 others as well who can. Miss Heritage made the running on 6 to Soaring Glory at Ascot last time. She needs it softer. So Thibault, Benson, Hudson de Grugy, 3 from 3 here at Sandown. Could be a day for the course experts with Deise Aba in the 3 o'clock and Hudson de Grugy in this one. Now, he has made the running in the past, but last time out he didn't. And I think it's just going to be a case of ride the race as you see it. And I'm pretty sure they're going to look at this and see Navajo Pass and Miss Heritage lining up near the front to put pace to the race, you hope, and that Jamie Moore will be content to sit, sort of mid-division or track the leaders. Metier, I thought, needed it soft or heavy. That one's got the tongue time for the first time. Navajo Pass, I thought, although he's going to go from hopefully he won't be pulled out because the ground's too quick for him. He has been withdrawn on sort of goodish ground previously and indeed quite recently. So let's hope he takes his chance. Elegant Escape, this looked like a prep for the Welsh National. Good to see him back though. Zambezi Fix is reverting from fences after a fall. Elm Valley, 0 from 7 since his heavy ground course and distance win on his yard debut last season. So again, there's a few in here. I hope that's not going to mean non-runners and we won't get the strong pace that Thibault needs. So yeah, Thibault, Benson, Hudson de Grugy, the short list of 3. The biggest price one is Thibault. So I'll go with him again. For Adam West, whose horses have been running really well flat and jumps in the last few weeks.
Yeah, they really have been, haven't they? And as you say, this horse is just so consistent, and he didn't let you down last time out in finishing second at 9 to 1. So yeah, Thibault, we're going to have a constant running joke now about this horse. Every time he runs, but yeah, really likeable. And the fact he's been given £2 back for that latest run as well is pretty fair by the handicapper, really, which is something I don't say very often. But yeah, that's a nice shortlist there. Of
I still think he'll be. I hope he's going to run Ascot's pre-Christmas meeting in the race in which Benson was placed last year, because the big handicapper generally gets sort of 15 plus runners in that. That will suit him down to the ground.
The grade 3 handicap hurdle. Yeah,
Yes,
that's yeah, as you say, that will suit them down to ground because they do go some pace and that, and normally they've got the soft conditions then as well to really pull them back and to be ridden off the pace. So yes, and one eye on the future as well then for Thibault. So anything else after that comprehensive lowdown again of our last scheduled race at Andrew? You're not obliged to come up with anything else from Sandown, but just in case you have, did you have anything else?
No, I did have a look, but nothing stood out for me.
Yeah, no problem. And then anything from any other meeting? So we've covered Sandown and Aintree, and there's a whole host of others. Anything from anywhere else as of yet?
No, afraid not.
No,
obviously check the columns on the day, and we'll see what we can find.
Yeah, definitely. As you say, yeah, check the columns there on the website, GG.CO.UK, to find any changes to selections or tips and blogs and any other insight when Andrew and, of course, Sarah, when they have more time to really assess any of the other racing then this weekend. So all that is left to do, Andrew, is to get your nap, please.
Well, I'm going to go Zambella in the 12:20 at Aintree, particularly what you said about Ellie May being a stuffed
no,
horse.
I'm going to put this on. Oh no, the pressure is on me as well now for this nap.
I've not seen any prices, but she was 8-1 when I tipped her up on Sunday before Carlisle was abandoned.
Yeah, she was
the same four runners going.
Yeah, exactly. So like you say, I couldn't imagine the market being that different with Ellie May likely to go off short enough price favourite then as a result, and a nice enough price for Zambella then in the 12:20 at Aintree. And I'm going to go back to Sandown. I'm going to go for the Tingle Creek, and it is with Chacun. I feel like I've chosen short priced favourite naps for the last couple of weekends, and it's worked out. Only just about.
They've been winning. Why not?
Yeah. Sharing the wins last weekend, but still winning. So I'm going to do it again, and I'm going to go for a proper scumbag nap selection with Chacun in the 2:25 at Sandown. So that is everything from Andrew and myself this weekend. As you say, Daryl's column will be up then on the website, so you can find his selections there prior to this weekend. But big thank you to Andrew for all of his hard work there, especially at Sandown on those last couple of races. Really impressive there. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you to our sponsors as well, and we'll catch up with you again next week.